Hey guys, I'm Reed Coverdale, and you're watching The Naturalist Capitalist, and I've got Mike back on the show today. And today we're gonna talk about a few different things. The most recent event was Rand Paul's speech at the Republican convention. We're gonna talk about that a little bit, but then also just about the two-party system and whether infiltration is a good idea. We'll just see how the conversation evolves. So I mean, most people who watch this channel know how I feel about Rand Paul, and probably Mike too. We were both supporters. You know, he's my favorite senator. I think, I've gone to bat for him a bunch of times when he's being vilified by, the media and and Congress in general. The most recent time I can think of was when we did a video talking about the anti-lynching bill a few months ago, because he was totally right about that.
Right.
So as far as being a legislator goes, I really don't have too many criticisms of him. What I don't like is, specifically in the speech he just made, he did say things that were not true about Trump. And what he does through that is he gives liberty-minded people an excuse to keep supporting the Republican Party, keep supporting Trump. So, I think if he had said part of that speech, it would have been fine. Nothing would have been, nothing would have been untrue. What he said about Biden being more of a war hawk and being worse on criminal justice is completely true. What he said about the economy and, Trump's tax cuts being a good thing, and Trump improving health care, and then what he said about, Trump ending the wars. I thought there was at least a stretch of the truth going on there. And to someone who is liberty-minded, they really care about what Rand Paul thinks. So when he glorifies Trump in that way, or just the Republican Party in general, they say, okay, Rand Paul is good with this, I'm going to be good with it too. And in a way, it's sheep herding for the Republican Party. That's how I look at it. So what do you think, Mike?
Well, I'm going to disagree with you, which is, not uncommon amongst us liberty folks. Sometimes we read things a little differently. I like the fact that the things that Rand decided to talk about were the things that he was more or less running for president on: criminal justice reform. And he was also talking, basically holding his to the fire, saying, hey, he's going to end the war in Afghanistan. So it's like, well, these are two check marks that I think, partisan politics aside, are the things that we really need to be focusing on, in light of recent events and, just in general. And I think he's right in pointing out that getting a Joe Biden into office would be a step back in the wrong direction. I just read something today that the folks who were in John McCain's camp are all supporting Biden this time around. So no surprises there,
Right.
And it's like, okay, there's a long time question that I've been keeping, not really been able to answer, is, are my times better off, or is my time better off in trying to get more libertarian candidates in the Republican Party, or should we just say to the party goodbye to that party together and focus on the libertarians? And I've found myself going back and forth a lot because, every now and then a candidate will come up like a Rand Paul or a Thomas Massie, and I'll be like, yeah, finally, we need this person. We need him there. He's going to do some good, and we're going to start moving the needle in the direction. And, not fast enough. There's a lot of things that the Republican Party agree with, but I'm a whole lot happier that they're there. And if Rand Paul had decided to run as a libertarian, I don't think he'd be there right now.
Mm-hmm. So I don't even, I mean, it would be great if Rand Paul endorsed Joe Jorgensen, but I'm not even remotely asking him to do that. I'm asking him to not make stuff up about Trump. I
bet about 45% of that speech, his words, and some of it was, okay, we need you to do these talking points or you're not going to be up here talking. So,
right. Well, I know, but it's not just this speech. He does that a lot. You know, he really goes to bat for Trump in a lot of places that it doesn't make sense. But I don't think the Republican Party is any more anti-war than the Democratic Party. And let me clarify what I mean. I think Donald Trump probably is compared to Joe Biden, but the only reason we have any semblance of anti-war sentiments from Trump is because he is just completely unmoored from political philosophy. I mean, he's just a complete wild card. So we have moments like the Soleimani airstrike in January, which are terrifying, which I don't think even Biden would have done that. You know, like you have moments like that, and then you have suddenly, okay, we're going to pull out of Afghanistan. So it's not a consistent message of anti-interventionism. It is just, you know, bouncing off the wall craziness that you never know where you're going to get. I mean, Rand Paul was one of the most vocal people against him when we were airstriking Syria back in 2017, I think it was. You know, and he's opposed him in Yemen. He's opposed him with weapons deals with Saudi Arabia. So he knows who Trump is, and he knows who the Republican Party is. You know, we've got a few anti-war Republicans. We've got, you know, Mike Lee, Rand Paul, Thomas Massey. They're the only ones you can really count on all the time. We also have those people in the Democratic Party. We've got Ilhan Omar, you got Rashida Tlaib, you got Alexandria Cortez. Like, those people are pretty much going to be anti-war all the time too. Tulsi Gabbard, Bernie Sanders. And when that Soleimani airstrike happened in January, that was actually when we first started talking online, if you remember. It was when we first met. But the Republican Party was pounding the war drums. And I mean, like, the electorate too, not just the party establishment. Like, all my Republican friends were like, go get them, destroy them. So all that proved to me was that literally nothing has changed. Like, a lot of people want to say, you know, the Trump presidency has made the Republicans more favorable to being anti-war. And it's like, no, the Republican Party or the electorate just loves Trump. So whatever he does, they're going to be happy with. But if he wants to go to war, like he did with Iran, you know, they were all on board. So I don't think we're getting systemic change from the Republican Party, even with Trump, even though he's a wild card. I mean, I think next month he could totally decide to go against Iran, you know, just out of the blue.
I think, you know, if any changes are made from these folks in the Libertarian, you know, who would, you know, call themselves maybe a small L libertarian, or as like Rand calls himself a constitutional conservative. I don't think we're going to be able to get radical change from people like that. I think the change that we're going to be able to get is incremental, which is a step in the right direction. But, you know, on some level, I agree with you, which is why I'm supporting Joe Jorgensen this year over Trump, because it's like, well, it's not happening fast enough.
Right. I mean,
things really hard getting there, you know?
Yeah, I mean, things are just so crazy right now. We need radical change. I mean, if we keep this, I feel like, you know, Bernie Sanders, I watched his speech when they were trying to ram the CARES Act through, and he got his amendment to extend unemployment benefits and whatever else into the CARES Act. So then he voted for it. Because in his mind, it's like, well, I'm doing something good. I've got to sacrifice all this, but I'm doing something good. That is kind of what the Liberty Republicans are doing. It's the same idea. Like, they're getting little tiny bits of progress, but they're getting outrun by the sliding backward that we're doing. So to me, you know, it's great if you can get change in the Republican Party, but if you're convincing everybody that the Republican Party is the way to go and that Donald Trump specifically is the way to go, you're doing a disservice. So everything he's doing legislatively has been great. I definitely disagree with some of his nomination votes. I'm talking about Rand here. But when I think he ironically is one of the biggest obstructions to the libertarian movement going forward, because he, you know, when he props up the Republican Party the way he does, people think, okay, I mean, there's still something left to this. I don't think there is, you know. I mean, it's just so it's just so messed up and removed from what those goals of Rand's are. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so I think I don't remember what happened last time Rand got elected, but did he get primaried?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either, but you know, I bet there's a lot of Republicans out there who are supporting opponents of, you know, like there was establishment running against Thomas Massey this time around, you know, backed candidate, and it's they're not going to let us walk away with it, you know.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you know, one of those. You know, I'm a pragmatic person. I don't. I need to just focus all my energies in one direction. I think supporting libertarian Republicans is, you know, kind of a worthwhile use of my. You know, I'm not throwing a whole lot of money at them.
Mm-hmm.
Saying just okay, these guys. Round of applause. You know, that's the most the level of support I have for Rand Paul, and you know,
Yeah. Well,
I may listen to him when he tells me all the fine things that Trump has done. You know, I don't think he had the greatest economy in the history of the world going into the COVID pandemic. I think that's a farce. You know, I think we really need to look at some of the claims he's been making with a fine-tooth comb and say, okay, why was the economy starting to unravel back in September, October when they started the new latest? The Fed had to cut rates again and start their money printing presses just to keep the system running. Then COVID happened and they shut the whole economy down and it was off to the races, and we're just going to print. You know,
right. Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I want to be clear. If Rand Paul were to run for re-election as a Republican, I would want him to win. Same with Thomas Massey. Like, I want Thomas Massey to win. I'm not worried that he'll lose, but you know, I want those people in there. But it's important to call out the people that you hold in high regard. I mean, I've done this with Tulsi Gabbard a ton, and I've been hated for it, definitely. But I think Rand deserves criticism in this area. I don't think it's by any means a reason to cancel him or hope that he doesn't win re-election if he runs again. But it's important to call him out and say, no, Rand, we did not have the best economy in the history of the world. No, Rand, Trump has not done everything he can to end these wars. No, Rand, I think it's important because there are, specifically on like the economy, you know, there are a lot of people who are really disenchanted with the idea of capitalism. And that's because they think that the economy we've had has been capitalism. You know, they think that when they hear Trump say that, you know, we have 3% unemployment or whatever number he was throwing out there, and then they see how horrible things are, you know, like, wow, if I don't have a paycheck for 1 week, I'm going to be in trouble. They don't want anything to do with this. So, you know, when you have true libertarians saying that we have a corporate fascist economy, basically, like Peter Schiff says all the time, but then they hear Rand Paul, you know, saying Trump has given us this great economy, Trump's tax cuts are great, Trump's this and that and everything else is amazing, that, you know, that takes away from the message. So that's really what I'm getting at there. But like what's really tragic to me is that Tulsi Gabbard is supporting Joe Biden and Rand Paul is supporting Donald Trump. That's where we are now today. I mean, in my mind, we talked about this on the phone before we started the video. If we had a Rand Tulsi ticket, I feel like they would agree on a lot more than Rand does with Trump or Tulsi does with Biden. So that's just the tragedy of this terrible duopoly we have, and that's like the epitome of why I want it gone, because you have that divide there that makes no sense.
Yeah. Well, the trouble is the RNC and the DNC are 20, 40 times the size of Libertarian National Party.
Right.
There's such a size difference where, okay, when we're small, $35 a year as a donation to get your Liberty membership card is a big deal,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think I seem to remember years ago Glenn Beck was on his little rant, and one of the ones he came up with, we needed to fund the national park. Just stop sending them their money when they ask for it,
Uh-huh.
If you see something that you like and you support, send them money. But if you're gonna just fill out your check just because they sent you a mailer and say, hey, support those evil Democrats, give us money and stand up for your values and your the things you care about, and vice versa on the Democrat side. They send the same things. They're both playing from the same playbook. They're more alike than they're dissimilar.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think with the foundation the Libertarian Party is built on, it should be the largest party because it has factions of the right and the left. It's the idea of let everyone live his own life, and as long as no one's hurting each other or damaging each other's property or infringing on each other's rights, we all coexist. Like, that is a platform that most Americans should be able to get behind, where these draconian Republican and Democrat parties, I mean, there's no way, I mean, it doesn't make any sense that they're the largest parties. And if you look at voter participation rates, they're extremely low. So, I mean, that's why I think the only way forward is a new party. I mean, because the Democrats and Republicans, I know we just did a video about this with Dave and Charles, they're just completely bought out by corporations. There's no incentive to listen to their voting population. And let's be honest, their voting population is mostly pretty dumb. I'm just going to say it. Like, they really don't know. A lot of people just don't know what's going on anymore.
Right. Well, they've said the average voter starts thinking about the presidential election in October.
Right.
Yeah, and they think, okay, what has Trump done for me? Well, if I don't like that, I'm just gonna. Or some of them just say I'm gonna go R down the line or D down the line, and that's
Yeah.
We need more intelligent people stepping up and voting, I think, is really what it comes down to. And they need to stand up and say, okay, maybe liberty is more important than party.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's pretty much all I got to say. I'll just give you the last word, and anything else on this subject you're thinking about, you wanted to bring up?
All I got to say is, I still support Rand. I won't be voting for Trump this time around, but good show, my friend. Way to hold his feet to the fire. And if he wins, which I think is unlikely, hopefully going forward, there's room in Donald Trump's agenda for a Rand Paul to be sitting on his shoulder telling him all the things he's supposed to be doing.
All right. Well,
that's optimistic, I know.
Yeah, I'm definitely not that optimistic. But everyone, let us know in the comments what you think about the situation, and we'll catch you on the next show. Thanks for coming on, Mike.